didn't expect anything unusual that night. I was just coming back from work late. One of those long shifts where your body is running on autopilot and your brain feels a step behind everything else. It was close to midnight. The road I took home cut through a stretch of highway that barely saw traffic at night. No streetlights, just long gaps of darkness broken up by the occasional reflector or passing truck miles away. I remember thinking how quiet everything felt, like the world had already gone to sleep and I was intruding. My headlights were the only real light around me. They caught bugs in the air, dust, the shine of asphalt. Inside the car, it was just the hum of the engine and the low buzz of the radio, which I turned off because it was starting to annoy me. Silence felt better, cleaner. About 15 minutes into the drive, I noticed a car pulled over on the shoulder ahead, hazard lights blinking slow and steady. Orange flashes in the dark. I remember easing off the gas a little, more out of habit than concern. As I passed it, I glanced over. The car was empty, or at least, I didn't see anyone inside. No movement. No one standing nearby, just the hazards, blinking into nothing. That should have been the end of it. A few miles later, I needed gas. I hadn't planned on stopping, but the gauge was lower than I thought, and the next station was too far to risk it. So when I saw the lights of a small gas station up ahead, I took the exit. The place looked half asleep, one pump working, the others dark. The convenience store lights were on, but dim, buzzing faintly. No other cars, no people outside, just me. I parked and got out. The air felt cooler than it should have, and too still. No wind, no insects. I remember feeling oddly exposed, like I was standing under a spotlight, even though the lighting was terrible. While the pump was running, I heard footsteps. They weren't loud, just slow, deliberate steps on concrete. I turned and saw a man coming from the side of the building, mid-30s maybe. Hoodie, hands in his pockets. He didn't look threatening right away, just blank. "Hey," he said. I nodded. "Hey." He stopped a few feet away, close enough that I could smell cigarettes on him. He looked past me, over my shoulder, at my car, not checking me out, checking the inside. "You heading far?" he asked. I shrugged. "Just home." He nodded like that. Answer meant something. Then he smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "My car broke down back there," he said, jerking his head toward the highway. "Been waiting a while." Something about the way he said it felt rehearsed, like he'd already told the story a few times. "That sucks," I said, turning slightly toward my door. Subtle, instinctive. "Phone's dead," he added. "Think you could give me a ride?" I hesitated. Too long. I felt it the second it happened. I glanced towards the store window, hoping to see the cashier, but the inside was empty. Lights on, nobody visible. I can't," I said. "Sorry, I'm late already." His smile faded. Not fast. Slowly, like he was deciding something. "That's a long walk," he said. "Road's not safe at night." "I'm sure someone will come," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. He took a step closer. That's when I noticed his hands were still in his pockets. Both of them. And he hadn't blinked once since we started talking. "You passed me earlier," he said suddenly. My stomach dropped. "What?" "My car," he said. "On the shoulder." "You saw it?" I didn't answer. He leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "You didn't stop." The pump clicked off. The sound made me flinch. "I have to go," I said, reaching for the nozzle. He moved at the same time, fast, blocking my door. "Just a ride," he said. His voice wasn't calm anymore. 5 minutes. That's when I saw it. The bulge under his hoodie, pressed against his side. Not a weapon I could clearly identify. Just enough to make my chest tighten and my hands go cold. I didn't think. I reacted. I dropped the nozzle, shoved him with my shoulder, and dove into the driver's seat. He grabbed the door, slamming it against my leg, but I kicked it shut and locked it instantly. He stood there for half a second, staring at me through the glass. His face wasn't angry. It was annoyed, like I'd ruined something he'd planned. Then he ran, not towards the store, not towards the road, toward the back of my car. I threw it into reverse without looking, tires squealing as I fishtailed out of the station. In the mirror, I saw him stop short, just missing the bumper. I didn't slow down until I hit the main road. I didn't look back. I went straight home, parked under a streetlight. Sat in my car for 10 minutes with the engine off, listening. The next day, I drove past that stretch of highway in daylight. No broken down car, no skid marks, nothing. I still think about how easily it could have gone the other way, how tired I was, how quiet everything felt. And sometimes, when I drive home late and see hazard lights blinking in the dark, I don't slow down anymore. I stopped at the store because I needed milk. That was the only reason. It was early evening, not late enough to feel dangerous. Just that quiet in-between hour when the day feels used up. The parking lot was half full. Nothing unusual. Fluorescent lights buzzing behind the glass doors. Automatic doors that opened a fraction too slowly. Inside, the air was cold and smelled faintly of disinfectant and cardboard. One cashier lane open. A few people scattered through the aisles, moving without urgency. I grabbed a basket and headed toward the back, already thinking about getting home. That's when I noticed him. He wasn't doing anything overt. He stood near the end of an aisle, hands resting on the cart handle, not pushing it forward. Just standing there. He looked at me as I passed. Not a quick glance. Long enough that I noticed. Long enough that I had to decide whether to acknowledge it. I gave a polite nod and kept walking. I told myself it was nothing. People look at each other. Stores are awkward like that. I picked up milk, then eggs, then paused in front of the cereal because I realized I didn't actually need cereal. That's when I felt it again. The sensation of being observed, like pressure on the back of my neck. I turned slightly and saw him at the far end of the aisle, still with the cart, still not selecting anything. He wasn't staring now. His eyes were down, but the timing felt off, too precise. I moved on. Every aisle after that felt longer than it should have. The store music hummed softly, something generic and cheerful. I could hear my own footsteps, the faint squeak of my shoes on the floor. Once, I stopped to check my phone just to see if he would pass. He didn't. He stopped too, a few feet away, pretending to read labels on canned soup. I wondered if I was being paranoid. I actually said it quietly to myself. You're tired. You're projecting. I even laughed, a short breath through my nose, to break the tension. At the frozen section, I noticed something else. The other customers seemed to be clearing out. A woman with a toddler left. A man with a basket checked out. The store felt suddenly hollow, like a room after a conversation ends. I glanced toward the front. The cashier was still there, scrolling on their phone. No sense of urgency. I turned down another aisle and nearly bumped into him. He had appeared closer than I expected, cart angled slightly toward me. We both stopped. He smiled, thin and polite. Sorry, he said. His voice was calm. Normal, but he didn't move right away. We stood there for a second longer than necessary, just looking at each other. His eyes didn't flicker. They stayed locked, unblinking, like he was waiting for something specific to happen. I stepped aside first. No problem. As I passed, I felt his gaze follow me. I didn't turn around. I focused on breathing evenly, keeping my pace casual. I told myself again that this was nothing, just an awkward stranger. Just coincidence. When I finally headed for the checkout, my basket felt heavier than it should have. I could hear the hum of the refrigerators behind me, the faint clatter of a cartwheel. His cartwheel. He stopped behind me in line, no items in it. The cashier glanced up, then back down. The scanner beeped steadily as my groceries passed over it. I could feel him standing close. Too close, but not close enough to comment on. The space between us felt intentional, measured. When I finished paying, I hesitated, my receipt printed slowly, curling onto the counter. I tore it off and stepped aside instead of heading straight for the door. Pretended to check my phone. He didn't move forward. He just stood there, still behind me, as if waiting for me to leave first. That was the moment the unease solidified into something colder. Not fear exactly, certainty. A quiet understanding that the timing hadn't been accidental. I walked back toward the cashier. Hey, I said, keeping my voice even. I think I left my card at the car. Can you hold my stuff for a second? The cashier nodded without much interest. I turned and walked quickly, not running, toward the restroom hallway instead of the exit. I heard movement behind me, the sound of the cart being abandoned. I pushed through the restroom door and locked myself in a stall, heart pounding now despite my effort to stay calm. I listened. Footsteps stopped outside. Silence stretched. Too long. Eventually, the door opened and closed again. Footsteps retreated. I waited longer than I needed to. When I finally left the store, the parking lot was darker. His car, if it was his, was gone. Or maybe it never mattered which one was his. I drove home with my hands tight on the wheel, replaying everything, wondering where the line was between intuition and imagination. Even now, nothing concrete happened. No threat. No confrontation. But sometimes, when I'm in a quiet place and someone stands a little too still behind me, I feel that same pressure on my neck, and I don't wait around to find out if I'm wrong.